Administrators of Nigeria, ICSA, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSEM, the hub of governance professionals.
Thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, and coming to you live from MITV. I am Tunde Odeyemi, and in today's episode, we are going to look at risk management strategies to be adopted in difficult times. And I have with me here in the studio our distinguished guest, Mr. Chris Ayako. Mr. Chris Ayako is an associate of Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. He is a Lagos-based management consultant with specialization in corporate governance, tax management, training and human capital development. He is the management consultant of Z Osowo and Associates and the managing director CEO of Zinac Industries Limited. Chris Ayako is a member of Publicity and Advocacy Committee of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. He is also a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, as well as Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Mr. Chris Ayako is an administrator with many outstanding leadership qualities and is happily married with children. Mr. Ayako, you're welcome to Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Thank you for finding time to join us on today's program.
It's always my pleasure.
Yeah, Mr. Ayako, we are discussing risk management strategies today, especially the ones to be adopted in difficult times. And I want to kickstart this conversation by asking you, what does corporate governance mean to you?
Thank you very much. Corporate governance is a very new term in Nigeria, so to speak. Okay. And we look at it from the perspective of what directors do to sustain their business. So in a nutshell, corporate governance is defined as the process of running an organization, be it profit-making or non-profit-making, in a proper way. Wow. When we say proper mannerism, what are we saying? Trying to ensure that you comply with all the rules and regulations.
Running an organization in a proper
manner.
Yeah. Okay, what then is risk management?
Okay, let's start from looking at what risk is before we know what risk management is.
Okay.
Good. So risks, I want to define risks to be any factor or anything that prevents the company or an organization from achieving its objective at the proper time.
That is risk.
That is risk itself. So we are looking at it as a threat. So what is risk management? The process of identifying, evaluating, assessing those threats that are capable of preventing the organization from achieving its objective, or the threats that are capable of threatening the going concern of an entity. That's risk management.
Wonderful. Then how is risk management relevant to corporate governance?
Yes, corporate governance, as we know, is an oversight function of the board of directors of every organization.
Okay.
And it is the board that is the think tank of every organization, every company. Yeah. They are the one that makes policies, they are the one that formulates policies, they are the one that actually drive the mission and objective of that organization. Okay. Therefore, risk management is also an oversight of the board. So for those two to work together, then automatically it has to be on the table of the board of directors. It is the board that was using that this is the policy we need to put on ground to be able to define where our mission is and how to get to that place.
Okay, in essence, since risk management is vital in an organization and the board of directors formulates policies, so they have the direct responsibility of managing the risk of the organization.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what are the downsides of not getting risk management functions right in an organization?
Practically, if you come from practically points of view,
Okay.
there are some organizations that you used to know some 4, 5, 10 years ago. They're no longer in existence.
Wonderful.
It is not because the devil came and attacked them. Poor corporate governance, poor risk management attitude of the board of directors. So the downside includes, number one, corporate collapses, corporate scandals. Of course, poor acceptance in the society. The product of that company will not even have reasonable acceptance. And that will boil down to the fact that such organization won't be able to sell their services or their product. And at the end of the day, their revenue will fall. And when revenue begins to fall, it's a bad signal in every organization.
Okay, on a lighter mood, the devil that attacks them is the poor corporate governance.
Absolutely. Ignorance. A lot of boards in Nigeria, so to speak, let's narrow it to Nigeria. A lot of boards do not really know so much about corporate governance. And a few of them that know do not attach importance to corporate governance.
Wow.
So for me, ICSAN should be given kudos for anchoring this kind of program. Because a lot of people, if you look at companies, like I said, those that were in existence 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they are no longer, they have gone into extinction. And the truth is that it's corporate governance failure.
Okay, what is the role of internal control in corporate governance?
Well, internal control, actually, if you look at it, it's a system that is put in place by board of directors to actually guide against misdoing in the organization. The primary objective of that internal control is to ensure that the assets of the organizations are protected, right?
Okay.
And not only the asset, and when we say the asset, we are talking in a very holistic approach, right? Human resources, the financial asset, information technology, all of this. So internal control assists in all of that. And internal control comes up with policies that ensure that the company works within the framework of corporate governance. There are rules and regulations that governs every organization. So until you imbibe with those policies, then you go against the rules. And once you go against the rules, then you are inviting risk. And when the risk come in a big proportion, you can no longer handle it.
Okay. Will you say that the scope of risk management by companies and organizations has been extended with the advent of COVID-19 pandemic? And if your answer is yes, what are some of these risks?
Absolutely, yes, it has. It has been expanded.
Expanded.
Yes, some of the risks, like before now, let's look at our general meetings, or our meetings, whether board meetings, whether general meetings, whether committee meetings. Then we could have a physical meeting. But after this COVID-19, as a result of COVID-19, we talk about virtual meetings. They have their own risk.
Okay.
Right? So that alone is a risk on its own. Now, because of COVID-19, you discover that companies, organizations hold meetings via Zoom. Right? Information technology has its own risks on its own part. So there are so many risks.
So in essence, the new normal as we have now has also made the concept of IT governance relevant.
Very, very relevant. Very, very relevant. Of course, it is because of the IT that we can hold our virtual meetings.
Okay.
It is, of course, IT that, of course, if you look at what happens now, we have things like Federal Land Revenue Service just came up with a new measure. I think that was last week. They call it automated VAT.
Okay.
That's IT, right? Not only that, we talk about CSE has also come up with online filing of returns. That's IT. So honestly, IT is germane. It's very relevant.
Okay, Mr. Ayako, I would like us to go a little bit into the NCCG, National Code of Corporate Governance of 2018. The code provides that a sound framework for the management of risk and effective internal control system is essential for achieving the strategic objectives of the company. Can you please expatiate on this statement?
Yes, I think the code is very, very correct to make that statement. A company, as we know, is an artificial person, right? And there are rules and regulations. There are codes that actually govern that company. And whether the company is in the private sector, public sector, profit making or whatever, there are risks.
Okay.
And for us to be able to mitigate those risks, we need a committee. We need people that are versatile. We need people that are very experienced. We need people that are trained to be able to identify the risks that are posing dangers to a particular organization. Don't forget, what might be a risk to one company might not be a risk to another company. So we need people that are versatile, people that are well trained and experienced to be able to identify these risks and come up with control measures that will be able to mitigate these risks.
Okay, we need specialists, experts that will be able to identify, evaluate, and analyze, and of course, control the risk. On that, we go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue our discussion on risk management. Please don't go away.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSA, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to get international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSA, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, and we are discussing practical risk management strategies to be adopted in difficult times. I have here in the studio Mr. Chris Ayako leading in the conversation. Yeah, Mr. Ayako, we went a little bit into the code before we went on break, before the break rather. Now I want to go back to the code again. The code also provides that the board should obtain and review periodically relevant reports to ensure the ongoing effectiveness of the company's risk management treatment and framework. Now, why do you think this requirement is necessary?
Thank you very much. I think the key word is effectiveness.
Exactly.
That's the key word. The reason why it is necessary is because the control measures we put in place yesterday and were very effective yesterday might not be effective today again. They might be overtaken by events. Right?
So review is
so
necessary.
if you don't review, you might think that your measures are effective and yet they are not meeting your desired objective. So
Okay.
the reason is to ensure that those ones that are no longer effective are jettisoned and we bring new ideas, innovations.
Okay, still looking at the code, it provides that the board should consider assigning the responsibilities for oversight, of matters relating to risk management to a standalone committee or any other committee capable of combining it with their existing functions as it's appropriate. Now, what do you think is the rationale behind this?
If you look at corporate governance very well, there's what we call corporate governance tenets or pillars or principles of corporate governance. One of them is independence.
Okay.
One of them is independence. Total freedom from undue influence or pressure from anybody, whether being a domineering person or whatever. So if this committee or this responsibility is not given to a stand-alone independent committee, then the aim will be defeated. So the primary objective why this is necessary regarding what the code said is to ensure that the committee that is saddled with this responsibility is independent at any time. And being independent, they can be objective in decision making. They can be objective in policy formulation.
Okay, apart from being independent, is the composition of that committee, are they comprises of experts in risk management or any other person as it were can be a member of that committee?
Of course, if it is any other person, then you are putting a round peg in a square hole.
Okay.
So there should be experts. Of course, we know that there's nobody that is an epitome of knowledge.
Exactly.
Even though they are experts, they need training, they need retraining and constant training to refresh their memory.
On risk management.
On risk management related issues.
Okay. Now, why do you think the code stipulates that the chairman of the committee responsible for risk management function should be an independent, non-executive director?
Well, there are so many reasons. Number one, here the name independent, non-executive, independent with emphasis. Number one reason, so that he will be objective at all times. Number two, he can act independently without pressure from a domineering person like either the MD or the chairman.
Okay. Okay. So it's independent because they want him to be objective. Okay. And also probably because he's an expert in that area.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's your advice to organizations on how to get their risk management right?
Number one advice, I'd strongly advise organizations to do a collabo with ICSAN on this area.
Okay.
ICSAN will train them, ICSAN will guide them right. Number two, those organizations will actually go for training, and ICSAN has so many trainings for that. Not only that, they should also get consultants that will train them and set up wonderful independent committees that manages risk. Most organizations don't have them.
Okay, still talking about risk management, we know that it's a big function of the board of directors. Should an organization also have a risk management department that work internally? What do you think of that?
Well, it depends on the size of the organization.
Okay.
Don't forget that one of the objectives of corporate governance is cost reduction. So if I answer yes, and the organization that cannot finance that, and don't forget that the component of the risk management committee are board of directors members, right? Board members. So I think it depends on the organization that can finance that, they can go for that. If they cannot, of course, risk management as a function can also be outsourced. There are consultants out there that can outsource.
Okay, it can be outsourced.
Yeah. So, and also, instead of having a department, you can have a supervisor, risk management officer, risk management manager, all of that, instead of having, if you cannot have a department. But for those organizations that are capable of having department, fine, I support them.
Okay, still talking about organizations. There are some organizations that have the internal control.
Yep.
And we actually mentioned the relevance of internal control to corporate governance.
Yes, sir.
Can the internal control department also take over the responsibilities of risk management?
Well, to some extent. Why do I say to some extent? When you have a standalone risk management committee, it is independent, more independent. But when you talk about internal control, it's an internal something, right? So to some extent, their independence is questioned. It's not there. So if you have risk management committee as a standalone, it's better.
It's better.
It's better.
Okay. Okay. Now, still talking about organizations, because we want to assist companies out there on how to go about risk management. Is risk management only relevant to big organizations? What of small, medium enterprises? Is risk management also relevant to them?
The answer is capital yes. If you ask me, smaller organizations even need it more. They need it more because the companies that goes into extinction too often are not even the big companies, but the smaller organizations. If you walk around some streets, you discover that the company you used to see like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the companies are no longer there. But we still have the likes of First Bank, we still have the like of Guinness.
Okay, is it because of the failure of risk management?
Absolutely is one of them. Absolutely is one of them. You see, let me tell you something. Some time ago, somebody said when smaller company dies, they say your stepmother is fighting you. Witches are. And I ask the person, these witches that are drawing your money, don't they like First Bank money?
It's okay. So without actually going into some other brands, Mr. Ayako. Now, given the importance of risk management in corporate governance, I want to talk about your institute now, ICSAN. Do they, in clear language now, do they offer training on risk management courses?
Absolutely yes.
Okay.
Even I think on the 3rd of August, there's a training on risk management. On the 3rd of August.
This year?
This year. I think if I'm wrong, Mr. Katefe might correct me, but I think so. 3rd of August. Not only that, before you even become a chartered secretary, one of the topics in one of the courses is risk management. It's a topic, independent topic. There's also another topic, internal control system. Very, very well dealt with.
Okay. This is where we are going to wrap it up on today's conversation. on the corporate governance platform. Mr. Chris Ayako, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's like we should continue with the discussion, but time is not our friend yet. Thank you very much for watching us, viewers. We invite you to join us again next week on corporate governance platform, same station, same time. I remain Tunde Odeyemi. Thank you and bye for now.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSA, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to get international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSA, the hub of governance professionals.